Good evening, guys. I read something over Shabbat I wanted to share with you. It's very apropos to our subject of husband and wife, and very important for everyone to understand this concept because this is what we've been, talking about for the past year and a half, almost 2 years. It says, what is the Jewish man's role as a husband and a father? So here they mentioned the Rambam, in the laws of Rambam, in Ishut, I guess it's chapter 15, verse 9. He writes that the sages commanded that a man should honor his wife more than himself and love her as himself. Listen to the word that it says commanded. If he has wealth, he should honor his wife according to his resources. He should not cast an overt amount of fear over her. He should speak gently to her and without sadness or anger. One of the biggest problems that we do as men is that we make our wives scared of us, scared of for her telling us where she wants to go, what she wants to do, scared of her opinion. If she tells her, we're going to be like discounted, thinking, whatever, this and that, whatever. What happens? When a woman is scared to tell her husband, she begins to lie to him, right? He doesn't like that she goes to see her parents. He doesn't like that she goes to see certain people. He doesn't like the fact that she wants to go and do, random things on herself, like, laser her hair or, liposuction or even tattooing the eyes and you name it. You understand? Which means you don't cast fear on her. Of course, you don't tell her, okay, do whatever you want. No. You make sure she's able to tell you what she wants to do. And this way you can have a decent conversation. By the way, this is very apropos to children. When your kids do something bad, don't ever go, what the heck, what'd you do? What's wrong with you? This and that. Why? Because if they tell you something and you react like that, they will never tell you anything ever again. The proper thing to do is say, oh, interesting. Okay, I hear. Okay, and you discuss it with them nicely, calmly. This way, when you do that, what is the child going to say? Oh, wow. My mother and my father, they took this so very serious, so lightly, and I'm able to tell them whatever I want. And guess what? They'll come and they confide in you. If you overreact, what's going to happen? They're going to find a friend outside. And who's to say friends are good? The majority of friends are no good outside. And therefore, you'll never be able to understand and to know what your child is doing. He says he should speak gently to her and without sadness of anger. Now, a lot of what we're going to mention, people think that this is for a woman who's a tzaddiket, a woman who's like, she's 10 of 10, 10 out of 10, which means she does everything right, and she knows how to cook, and she knows how to clean, and she's a wonderful mother, and she's, you name it, right? So for a woman like that, you got to talk like this. Absolutely not. This is for a woman who doesn't know how to cook, who doesn't know how to do laundry, who doesn't know how to take care of the kids, who's not so, so shustra at the house. You understand? With her, you have to speak nicely and gently, without sadness, without anger. What do we think? We think all these laws are for the best woman that there is. No, my friends. No, you're absolutely wrong. It's for a woman who's not there. And we need to pick her up. You hear? He says, from this ruling of the Rambam and from the Ketubah itself, it is clear that the role of a husband is to be a provider. However, it is not just a provider of financial sense. It is a provider in an emotional and figurative sense as well. The husband is the rock of the home. He is the provider of a safe haven for his wife and his children to grow and express themselves. Listen to what he's saying. First of all, I've been involved in this, in the Shalom Bayit business for the past, year and a half already. And many women tell me what? My husband is a child, my husband is a baby, my husband is, meaning anything but these things. Why? Because there's no safe haven. We as men do not provide safe havens to our wife and to our children. And therefore, they're unable to express themselves. Look what he wrote. By the way, he wrote this bold. Yeah? He wrote, it is clear that the role of a husband is to be a provider. For what? For the child and for the wife to be able to express themselves. You know what express themselves means? Express themselves with anything and everything they want to tell us. And we as a rock supposed to sit there and say, interesting. I hear you. I understand you. I sympathize with you. Yeah. Again, it's not about the woman who does everything fine and the kid who does everything well and he's 100% kid and he doesn't do anything wrong and he never gets into trouble and he gets perfect grades and he stands up when you come in and you what? No, it's talking about the child that is not the best child. And to him, you're supposed to talk this way. It says a husband must provide spiritual growth for the home. He must be knowledgeable in halakha and provide his family with the proper hashkafa. Hashkafa means the proper way of leading the home. Yeah, the Baba Metzia says relates that a husband is in charge of the divine matters of his home. Many people tell me, yeah, but I don't know halakha. Well, shame on you. You have to learn. Yeah, I also didn't know halakha. Rav Ovadia wasn't born with halakha. What did he do? He sat there and he learned and he learned and he learned and he learned. Yeah. The synagogue rabbis that we have nowadays, yeah, they weren't born with the halakha knowledge. What they do? They sat and they learned and they learned and learned. We men also have to go and sit down and learn. Yeah, after work, after shul in the morning, we have to sit down, maybe with a rabbi, maybe with a group, and sit there and learn. Read. There's books in every language, very simple. If we're not gonna know, how do you want your child to respect you? Says over here, husband must provide emotional stability for his home. He is to give everyone in his home emunah and strength to continue through difficulty and obstacles. He is to make time to speak to his children individually and give them undivided attention. The husband must discipline his children and hold them accountable, while at the same time show them love and be be relatable. You hear what he says? People think that disciplining a child is hitting them, screaming them, No. First of all, you have to relate to your child. You have to relate to your wife. You have to understand what they need, what they're all about. Yeah, you have to invest a little bit of time in it. I know we're very busy. We have a lot of work. Yeah, we have a lot of things that we need for ourselves. But you got to understand, you created a family. You married a woman. You had kids with her. The kids are not her responsibility. The kids is your responsibility. Baruch Hashem, Hashem didn't allow us to get pregnant. He allowed the woman to get pregnant, or else everything would be on us. Here, at least 9 months, she's, carrying the baby. Our sages teach that one must discipline and maintain healthy distance with the left hand, and bring them close and show love with the right hand. It is a balancing act. One must not show real anger and emotions when disciplining. It must be pure for the sake of the children and the mitzvah of chinuch, without any ego involved. I know many men, you know what they say? No, I have no ego. I have zero ego. By the way, anyone who says he has no ego has the biggest ego. You should know. That's facts. Okay? One must lead by example and do everything he expects his children to do as adults. Which means, if you want your children to go to pray in minyan, guess what? You have to make sure that you go to every single minyan. Not every Saturday. Or I only do mincha. Or I only do shacharit. No. If you want your child to be, to pray in every minyan, then you have to go to every single minyan. Rain, shine, snow, heat, whatever it is, right? You may, even if you're sick, you go. Why? Because if your child's going to see you going when you're sick, he's like, wow, that's so important to my father. If it's important to my father, I'm going to make it important for me. But what do? We chill, we get up barely, we don't know, we're like, whatever, tomorrow I'll catch it, I'll pray at home, I'll put on tefillin. And then when it comes to our children, which they don't do anything, like, hey, Pachim, why don't you go pray? Because you didn't teach them the proper way. You hear? I always say that if you want your child to do 50%, you got to do 150%. If you do 50%, they got to do 0. You hear? So also same thing with honesty, with being humble, good-natured, responsible, on time. These are all things you have to make sure as a man that you do in order for your children to do as well. He says over here, he's still continuing on the Rambam's list. He also must provide attention and time to his wife and her needs. A man shouldn't feel that he has to argue and go back and forth about his wife's comments. Yeah, A lot of times women unfortunately tell us things that are not the best thing we want to hear. Yeah? I want to go on this vacation, which is not so proper. I want to, do this, thing on online energy work, and I want to, do this and that. He says, don't start sitting and arguing with her and proving your point to her and showing her how to, there's a way to do things. He should understand that if he experiences difficulty in marriage, it is a form of atonement for his previous wrongdoings. His main way of making sure his wife grows spiritually is by winning and earning her respect and inspiring her with stories in Divrei Torah and to speak to her heart. Going toe-to-toe with them via debate should not be the main focus. Yeah? Many men tell me, no, I don't comment on my wife. I'm a very good guy. You should ask her. I provide, I this, that. But they do lectures of an hour and 2 hours and 3 hours, and the woman is already tired of listening to him. And she's sitting there dazed out of her mind when he's sitting there lecturing her with all these, stupidities. I was there, by the way. Everything that I'm telling you, I was there. Yeah? He should focus on what is the solution and not so much on why there is a problem. Yeah? Many men want to, no. I want you to understand why we have a problem. That's not an important thing. The important thing, what's the solution? Forget the problems that were happening. Yeah? There is a clear solution here. He should look to be the family's hero and not dodge tasks that come his way or shirk accountability. Much respect is lost when the family sees that the husband looks how to get out of things and does not want to be the rock and have any rock of the home. He should realize that most of the time his wife just wants a listening ear, even if he doesn't offer her any solution. Many wives just want their husbands to feel and share their burdens. He must also buy his wife jewelry and gifts, clothing before each holiday. This is a halacha in Shulchan Aruch. Let's just get back to the shrieking accountability. A lot of times, man thinks that he's the king of the family and everything has to be brought to him. Yeah, he sits there, give me this, give me my slippers, give me drink, give me that. Not a good way to do. Not a good way to do. If you want to earn respect from your kids and your wife, you have to do most of the work in the beginning. You have to show them you're able to do it, even for them. You understand? And when they see you doing this, they're like, wow, our dad is unbelievable. Look at that. He gets up to do everything, and therefore they get this respect for him to the point that they want to do for him. You understand? But when you're sitting there and commanding like a king, you become like, a ruler. You understand? And everybody hates a ruler. Yeah? It says a husband should not think that his job is to just provide financial stability and that's it. This is the big mistake. Husbands who think like that end up facing many hardships and lose much respect in the process. Some men think that to be a mujik, a man, means to be very macho, and demand respect or demand tasks to be done for their honor. They even resort to verbal abuse or physical abuse to get their point across. This will very quickly deteriorate any relationship. These type of husbands may end up even staying married, but actually feel more like roommates. The relationship becomes more like a business partnership, where it is cold, and it's all about trading favors. You do for me, I do for you. There's very little intimacy in the relationship when this route is taken. Many husbands also do not value having a date night, weekly or bi-weekly. That was me. I really didn't value taking out my wife. Why? Because there were so many issues that I really didn't want to take her out. Yeah. Once I understood that I was the one creating the issues, I started, acting differently with my wife. We started having weekly date nights. Baruch Hashem, there's one day out of the week we go out. Yeah, whether it's to dinner or for a long walk or for a ride or whatever it is, but it's got to be a weekly or at least a bi-weekly in the beginning. Yeah, this makes the wives feel when you neglect this, it makes them feel unimportant and neglected. Other husbands put hobbies, work, friends, community before the obligations of the wife and the family. All this creates distance between a husband and his family, which in turn leads to chaos that anyways will have to be on his shoulders. There's an individual I know in our community, and he is a big Bal Chesed in the community. And many different synagogues and whatever, he does a certain Chesed where he's there for many hours, whether it's to, whatever it is, he does. One day I was told by a certain Hasid that he has Shalom Bayit problems. And I look at him like, wow, this guy has Shalom Bayit problems? This is the least individuals that I thought would have Shalom Bayit problems. White beard, pale, very humble looking guy. I ended up talking to his wife. They've been living like roommates for 5 years, which means they've been living in different rooms and have not been with each other for 5 years. It ends up that this guy was the biggest Bal Chesed, meaning he used to do all kinds of things for different shuls and different people, different organizations, but he neglected the most important thing in this world for him, which is his wife. And because of that, they were living as roommates. She didn't want to hear anything about him. She hated him. At this point, they were in their 60s. And I don't know, he probably didn't want to give her a divorce, but they were living for like that. And they're currently, till this day, this is probably already the 6th year. You understand? They're living as roommates. There's a parable about a donkey who didn't want to carry the load the owner put on him, which means there's a donkey. There's a guy that's sitting on a donkey, and he has a bag, and he wanted to put the bag on the donkey, and the donkey said no. He wants him to hold it. Yeah, the donkey insisted that the owner carry his own hands, carry in his own hands, and he rode the donkey into town, right? Meaning the donkey wanted the owner, who's sitting on him, to carry his own bag. Now the donkey doesn't understand that the man with the bag is on the donkey. So no matter where the bag is, it's still on a donkey. The owner laughed as the donkey didn't realize that in the end, anyways, the donkey is actually the one carrying the load. Yeah, the husband is definitely not a donkey, but all these responsibilities that are placed on him are not to be pushed away. If he does push them away and suppress them, in the end, these will fall back on him again, more intensely. Yeah. That comes with much more chaos, which means a lot of men, they shriek the responsibility of the emotional connection to the wife. They say, no, the wife should understand that she should respect me. She should understand what I need. She should understand what I like. And therefore, if she, does things for me, I'll do it for her. Well, this is not the way Hashem created the world. Hashem created the world that a woman is a receiver. She only knows how to receive. A man is a giver. He's supposed to know only how to give. Unfortunately, in the world that we live in today, society tells us, no, we have to take. And therefore, we're all looking to take from our wives. Well, what happens in a situation where you're looking for the wife to do, the relationship breaks down. And what happens? The man has to now work much harder to try to fix it if he can. If he can't, guess what happens? Divorce. You understand? But really, divorce is not the answer. It says when a man is a leader, by example, and he's a hero of his family, it produces such strong and healthy people in society. The sons and daughters grow to be heroes themselves and accomplish much more in the community and for their own families. The wife has the strength and the will to do her role properly, knowing that her husband is right there to be there for her. The reward and the outcome is priceless, meaning when a husband does what he has to do, the wife, the kids, the whole family, everybody's healthy. Everybody knows what to do. Everybody's looking at this father, at this husband, at this man, at this rock, and they're saying, wow, we want to be like him. And therefore, what happens? They're all thriving. But when a man does not know how to emotionally connect with his wife and his children, and he does not know how to be a leader with love and with understanding, and he does not know how to handle the individuals in their manner, meaning not in his own manner, understand how to deal with them in their way. Yeah, when he does not know how to do that, the whole house breaks down. Children become depressed. They hate the father, the mother, or both of them. They do all kinds of crazy things. The wife also starts to, chas v'shalom, cheat and lie. Yeah, everything is broken down. Why? Because the man is not a man. And many of us, instead of taking this into our heart and saying, wow, Hashem put me here to do this and to get up and do something about it, what do? All we do is blame the wife. No, she's no good. She came like that from when she was, raised in her family, and her mother and father is crazy, and they made her crazy, and she came like that, and it's all her fault and her. Guess what? If you're always blaming that side, you will never get anything done. If you take it upon yourself and say, wow, I messed up, and I'm going to make it better, and I'm going to learn how to be a real man, and how to put my family back together, that will work out. But if you always blame the other side, you'll never work anything out.